Well, with primary elections now behind us, November 5th is coming into full focus. We're going to be seeing a lot of those national candidates between now and November.
Former President Trump was here to rally a couple of days ago, and 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne spent the day with the former president's supporters here in one of the country's most sought-after swing states.
Like a foot soldier marching into battle,
read the back,
or the most devoted of sports fans, fanatics even, herding in to see and offer undying support during the most important game of a lifetime.
You got to support the good and reject the bad.
Kim Blandino is one of over 20,000 Trump supporters who filled Sunset Park Sunday, riding his bike in 104-degree heat to spread his message of support for former President Donald Trump, even though, Blandino says, he gave up his U.S. citizenship over 30 years ago when he noticed what he calls a downhill slide in American politics.
Seems like a lot of effort for someone who can't vote for the guy.
No, it's not effort. It's easy.
Also easy for Trump supporters like Blandino to identify where things started to go wrong in this country.
When I saw Ahab and Jezebel, that would be Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton elected, I knew that America...
Some of Trump supporters look back a long time before the Clintons.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Who had legal troubles and criminal investigations of their own to deal with during 8 years in the nation's capital.
Just going back to kind of what the founding fathers wanted for us in this great nation.
And some go even further back, to the beginning, to assess what ails these United States of America, and very quickly come back to the present.
What Biden has done with our economy is terrible.
The economics were better.
The economy, not surprisingly, is the first thing out of the mouths of many at Sunday's rally.
They put their name, signature, and they indicate how they like to vote.
Like Trump volunteer Monica Werner of Las Vegas, who felt inspired to get involved while at a prior rally here in the Valley.
The cause is to get Trump in the office again.
Why?
Why would you not want Trump?
Werner, like so many of the people who registered for free to see their candidate, says this president is better than that president, that Mr. Trump had more respect at home and internationally than President Biden. And without...
You're fired, Joe. You've done a horrible job. You have done the worst job of any president in history. Get the hell out, Joe.
A second term for one.
If we don't win, it's we. It's all of us. It's millions of people. If we don't win, this country is finished. I really believe that.
Donald J. Trump, the future of America is at risk.
And no one can really argue that it was not better under Trump.
Among the many things that seem to unite these thousands of people attending this Sunday morning rally is not only the support for former President Trump, but also their disdain for those who claim the former president is a criminal. Mr. Trump has 4 ongoing criminal cases, with a total of 91 felony counts against him, winding their way through different courts at different speeds. Some of those cases may still be active on Election Day.
Hat shirts!
In fact, it's a selling point, as you can see.
I'd rather vote for the felon T-shirts!
And here, from all the T-shirt sales, one of the more popular being this I'd rather vote for a felon Trump T-shirt. So you bought the I'd rather vote for a felon T-shirt?
Yeah.
How come?
Because I'm a felon.
You're a felon?
Yeah.
A felon, Josh Quintana of Las Vegas, says he's registered to vote here, shelling out $25 for this T-shirt, saying Trump is innocent.
They did him dirty. They did him wrong.
Wrong or right, most, if not all, of the people here believe the president when he says...
But this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never.
And the guy selling those Vote for the Felon T-shirts is reaping the benefits.
Trump has somehow connected with the working guy.
He says the Trump crowd, like Bernie Sanders supporters, believe they're part of a movement. And they all seem to have the hats and shirts and outfits and flags and spend a lot of money on merch to be a part of it and to be shrouded in it.
How does a billionaire who's never worked a regular day in their life connect with all these people? That part is amazing.
Amazing, especially when you consider the loyalty these Trump supporters have for their candidate, even as things might get worse for him before they get better.
If he continues to get convicted, would you continue to support him?
Of course, yeah. That's 100%. There ain't no ifs, buts about it.
We're letting everybody know that Trump is a like us.
Maurice Simonet, an activist who goes by Michael the Black Man, was at the rally representing the group Blacks for Trump. The Black Lives Matter movement exploded during the Trump administration. All over the country, cities were, it seemed at the time, burning to the ground. The nation's black population had had enough. And then President Trump didn't necessarily embrace the movement.
Many of those who are spreading violence in our cities are supporters of an organization called the Black Lives Matter, or BLM. It's really hurting the black community. It's hurting the black community.
It didn't seem like it was a good time for Black America when Trump was president.
No, it was a perfect time.
A perfect time, says Michael the Black Man, because Trump offered hope to a segment of the population that he says President Biden has left broke.
Right now, nobody can make money. Everybody, all of the stores are closing. Everything is bad. Everything is horrible.
Horrible, a word meaning the very opposite of great, which of course is what Donald Trump claims he can make America again. Reporting at Sunset Park in Las Vegas, Kyle Payne, 8 News Now.
Former President Trump is consistently polling several points ahead of President Biden in Nevada polls. Now, in the 2020 presidential election, Biden took Nevada's electoral votes and 50.1% of the popular vote here. After one homeowner says the company Titan Solar destroyed her home.
This is really a maddening story you'll only see on 8. 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne is live in studio after another trip to that same home. And Kyle, what happened today?
Brian, Denise, timing being everything, our story last night featured Titan Solar, one of their many unsatisfied customers we met at a recent contract board meeting. After months of delays, this morning, the board's investigator and Titan's install team walked through the home, pointing the finger at someone new, me.
So it's not them, it's me, mainly you.
Me. The latest reason for the most recent delay in homeowner Stacy Houston's subpar solar installation. In particular, this monstrosity Titan Solar built on the side of Houston's home. Electrical work that doesn't work.
Too much scrutiny.
Too much scrutiny, they say, after a walkthrough in January, when the 8 News Now investigators stood by while this crew surveyed the damage and tried to come up with a game plan, which they didn't do and still really haven't done. And now that we're watching, that one electrician doesn't want the job at all.
Since the other electrical company doesn't want to work with me because of you, thanks, we're going to have to find somebody.
Somebody, hopefully, who won't do what the previous contractors did, leaving the outside of her house with holes everywhere, her yard looking like a war zone, and leaving her house with no heat, until Houston got a crash course in jump-starting her breakers.
She was like, if you hold the switch to the left for 3 seconds, a full count, then switch it back and forth, you will have heat again.
And?
Yeah, it worked. Now we have heat. Yeah, we have heat for a minute.
But a minute compared to the 2+ years and several $1,000s in damage and loan costs Titan is slowly reimbursing might not be the level of progress Houston is waiting for.
This is all a mess. Like, everything needs to be fixed. And then let's talk. Once you fix the things to make me whole, we will then reevaluate what else needs to be done.
Titan Solar had its license suspended briefly last year, and the contractor board held a hearing, gave them probation. Next month, that could change after a scheduled disciplinary hearing.
A jury finding Robert Tellis guilty of stabbing and killing investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman. You're watching 8 News Now at 11. I'm Sasha Loftus.
And I'm Brian Loftus. That same jury sentencing the ex-politician to 20 years to life in prison. The 8 News Now investigators covering the crime and trial every step of the way. First, we're sending it over to Kyle Payne live in our studio. Kyle, a lot happened today.
Sasha, Brian, so much drama, so much emotion in the trial's last day. We learned the jury's long-awaited verdict and saw that jury hand down a life sentence, putting some bold punctuation at the end of the Robert Tellis murder trial.
Life in the Nevada Department of Corrections with eligibility for parole beginning when a minimum of 20 years has served.
Robert Tellis will be in his late 60s by the time he serves those minimum 20 years, but he could spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of the investigative newsman Jeff Gehrman, who tragically was in his late 60s when Tellis brutally stabbed and killed Gehrman outside of his home. The jury of 5 men and 7 women having watched this grainy video of the 2 men in mortal combat before Tellis, wearing orange, got the better of Gehrman and walked away, devastating his loving family and 3 younger siblings who spoke of the man behind the newspaper byline.
We also saw the side of Jeff that most people, unfortunately, didn't get to experience. Jeff loved his family. He loved spending time with his nieces and nephews. He was especially close to them.
Gehrman's life, taken by Tellis just a few days short of 2 years ago.
If you could please give my son a chance of parole.
Tellis now had his family make a plea to save Tellis's life. His mother, first wife, and current wife all telling the jury about the Tellis they know.
Robert is an amazing father, and like I said, even to this day, he tries to stay involved with the kids.
That's the first time we've ever heard from Tellis's wife, who came a little closer to a possible reunion with the disgraced former Clark County Public Administrator, because this jury, seen here for the first time on television leaving the Regional Justice Center in downtown Las Vegas, had 2 members holding out for an acquittal before their unanimous guilty verdict.
Look at the profile.
According to Tellis' attorney, Robert Draskovich, who gave the jury some pause in his closing statement when he showed this image of someone who looks nothing like Tellis driving away from the area of the murder that day in a car that did look a lot like Tellis's.
And that caused them to roll up their sleeves and review all of the evidence very, very closely.
Draskovich spoke with those jurors after court Wednesday, and then with 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy.
What they decided to do is to work as a group and review all of the evidence, and they ultimately arrived at their verdict.
Great reporting there, Kyle. And I think a big question a lot of people have, do we think that at any point they were going to acquit him?
I asked myself that quite a few times during the deliberations, and I really couldn't say they were going to come right out with an acquittal. But as they came back with questions a couple of times and the conversation got a little deeper, I thought this could end up with a hung jury for sure.